I'm redoing my tree. So I'm just like, oh crap. Well, now I'm going, a third bigger. So how do I do that in X-Lights? Hey, here's part 7. Clyde's doing a mega tree. Awesome. So I'm going to work on my tree and getting into X-Lights so I can redo it and make sure all my pixel count is right. The connections back to the controller, the whole 9 yards. So all the tutorials that he puts out are just super awesome. And I get the reminder that comes up in my phone. Boom. Hey, Clyde's got some more shit for you. I don't mean that in a bad way.
The live streams were really fun this past weekend. You got to do that more. All these events, Trans World's coming up next year. There's definitely a little opening for that, man. You have some fun.
I really appreciate what you said. Very nice things you said to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Keith, to your point, yes, there are days that I'll be on sequencing. Rob and I will sit in Zoom and I'll have my headphones on and sequencing and he'll be working away at a layout. And, I'll say, what are you doing right now? Nothing. Working on this layout. Watch this. And I'll share my screen. Like, check this out. This is so cool. I can't believe I just did this. He's like, all right, dude, go make a video. And, or it becomes a preset effect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's where they come from. I mean, that's where a lot of this for things that I find that even if they're by accident or even if they're totally on purpose, like I work for 20 minutes to create one specific morph setup and I share it because anybody could have done it. It's just, I did it at that moment and it works for what I wanted it to, but there are, to be sure, I can't tell everything because I can't give away all of my knowledge. There's no way that I could tell you everything I do, but I definitely try to give people the stepping stones to get from part A to part B to part C.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you're raising your
hand.
I'm
like raising my hand here, people. I just had to laugh for a second here. Yeah. I mean, so this is the building time and stuff like that. And your videos are so helpful with building. I'm actually subscribed to your YouTube channel now. I get the little notifications on my email. Actually, I saw you put one up today. Yeah. All you're basically the X-Lights ones. I think I learned more from those than, Keith's updates that sporadically come out now. Those used to be my go-tos, but I got to say your little tidbits. I think that's what you should call them, man. Tidbits. Cause they're just like 10 minutes long and they're perfect. They're the little digestion of information that you can keyword it. You can search for that easily. I mean, you got yourself a little micro X essentials there.
But straight to the point.
That was the idea. And I have to thank Robert for that. Prior to Robert jumping in, my brain was wrapped around the way that Sean Meehan did all of his webinars and classes. Because if you go back to 3.0, X-Lights 3.0, and I actually just cleaned off a desktop and a laptop with some old videos that I had taken with me to different trainings, military trainings and stuff whenever I was out in the field. And I had X-Lights 3.0 and I was trying to learn the piano effect and I was trying to learn this effect. And Sean would spend, 5 minutes of a 2-hour webinar. And you had to like pay attention to every nook and cranny of it. And it reminded me that whenever I started doing things, that's how I did it. It was here you're learning X-Lights. Here this is this. Here this is that. And some of the videos started being 20 minutes long because they had to be. And luckily, and this is where fortune favors me a little bit. And it's not fortune always because I have to redo it. But when the developers watch videos, specifically ones that I've done, they find that things are very tedious, or I do stupid things, or the work becomes challenging and repetitive and monotonous. And so in 2016 or 15, when we had import mapping, there was only one type, and then they added a second because somebody did a video, not mine, but another person did, and it wasn't logical. So then I did a mapping video with the new map, and in a couple weeks that map changed the way it worked. And so I did another video the next year and it changed again. And so just before I go to Light Up Ohio, I want to say it was like 2016, maybe it was 2017. I did a 6-hour class on
Holy
just
cow.
mapping and coming in from LOR to, nonstop. I stood up in front of the room. It wasn't just mapping. It was a lot of things, but it was a 6-hour class. We took a break and I stood up there. But you know what though? The class had great questions. So it rolled. The whole thing rolled really well. And, to kind of bring this in, what I learned is every time I do something, the developers would fix it and change it. I was horrified the day that Gil rewrote the whole layout tab, meaning where we have click icons that create I was horrified. I was so pissed off at him and Dan. I was like, you sons of bitches, I just made this how-to video series and now I've got to rewrite the whole freaking thing because it was too many button clicks for you.
Yeah.
You guys are asses. And I was so mad that I did not touch my layout tab the entire 2016 year, which I couldn't because I had the fire and I was lucky to be able to put it back up the way. In 2017, here I am. I come along and I have to relearn how to do the layout tab. So I never did videos on any of that because I had to go back and watch Keith's videos on it and Sean's but that's the nice thing is that when I do a video that I know that they watch them not because they know what I'm talking about. It's because they know that they can see me use it. And what they see me fumble and make mistakes. And that's why I stopped editing my video. And that's why I started making them only 10 minutes long. And this was all due to Rob. You watched my Megatree video today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I recorded that 2 weeks ago. Okay. I watched my Megatree video today. I didn't watch it. I listened to it and I listened to myself make a stupid mistake. And did you hear me make the mistake? Did you hear me make a mistake about the tree size?
Yeah, I think.
Because you never made it, jumped it up to 100. You left it at 50.
Exactly. I could have totally stopped right in the middle there, cut that all out. And
I was talking to my phone like Clyde.
And I could have totally cut that all out. But this was on the other hand, this was Rob telling me in my other ear saying, no, you screwed up. Show people that you screwed up. And it's not a matter of that you're perfect at everything and it always comes out right. But the point that you can stand up and say, hey, look, I made a mistake. This is how I can fix it.
It'll make you think. It'll make you think about it when you're doing it. Oh shit. This is when Clyde didn't change it to 100 pixels. He left it at 50. So it's doing 4. Why I got so many up there?
So it became the mantra of, and it should have only been about an 11-minute video, and it turned out to be like a 14-minute. But it was all relevant, information. And I know that one of the 3 or 4 or 5 major developers are going to sit there and look at it, and they're probably going to say, "Oh, you're long-winded," or "You're whatever," or they're going to say, "I'm glad he did it that way," or they're going to have a positive comment. At least I hope they are.
But if somebody's, because I couldn't have told you how long it was, I mean, if somebody's interested in it, they're paying attention. It's good info you're passing along, entertaining in whichever way it may be. It's entertaining to me because I'm learning, I couldn't have told you. I know at the end of it, I put, hey, I loved it, or something in the comments at the bottom, I put a like on it and then made a comment. I couldn't have told you how long it was because I thought it was a good video. It's not one of those videos, and I'm not going to say who it is, but there's some videos out there that I've watched and you're like, oh my God, when's he going to get to the part that I want to, can I fast forward this? 2 hours and 21 minutes. Holy shit. I'm trying to figure out when it's the part that I want to get to.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the hardest effects to go over is the VU meter. And the reason for this is because the VU meter has grown. It's grown exponentially over the past 3 years. The VU meter is the closest thing that X-Lights has to an auto sequencer. I think we've had this conversation online in a chat message before. Mm-hmm. When somebody, in fact, I think it was last Sunday, and I used that occurrence, that thread in the X-Lights group as part of my presentation while I was at the expo. So explicitly. Oh, wow. Because one of the major questions that everybody has, how long does it take you to sequence? And it's not about the sequencing. It really isn't. It's about what you do with the sequencing and how you make it work with the song you're listening to and the number of props you have in your layout. if you have 10 props in your layout, it better not take you very long to sequence unless you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing and you'll have 10 props, you should be done pretty quick.
Yeah.
It should take you, a couple hours, but there's a number of folks whose answers were, yeah, I just, I spent about 2 hours on it. Oh, okay. Well, and that's great. There's no right or wrong answer to the question, but we had that discussion in the thread, and I thought that was very relevant. It is what it is.
Takes me longer than 2 hours just to map one song. I'm mapping for
hopefully it's not one of our songs that takes.
I was going to say no. Yours is.
I'm critiquing. I'm changing up stuff and putting snowflake effects on stars, and I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But no, it wasn't yours, because my house and my groups are actually set up from your tutorial that you did with mapping. So my PPU yard, my PPU whole house without yard, without mega trees, that's all straight off of your guys' tutorial about mapping on their original layout. So,
so I just want to ask, as somebody listening in, like, how hard is it to map a sequence in X-Lights? What's like the quick little rundown of something like that? Like if I buy a sequence right now for example, from the Google Drive, let's say, I can download it.
Buy them from the Google Drive, you're getting ripped off.
I'm sorry, not down. Thank you. If you're just downloading it, from X-Lights from the Google Drive, like how would you go from there? Quick little synopsis.
So we typically don't tell this to people. I mean, I hardly ever go on the Google Drive and look and see what's in there. But I do have to monitor it from time to time to make sure that one of our sequences doesn't get uploaded. In the past, and this year too, I've had a number of clients who said, we can't afford to do a bunch of sequences out of the store. How much will you charge to map one of the free sequences from the share drive? Okay, well, it all depends on which one you have and how much sequencing in there. Mapping, it's easy. It just is. The problem is that what was in one layout compared to what you're putting it into for another. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it challenging. The idea, now obviously we didn't charge them for like an hour or two of work. Okay, big deal, but that's the exception. That's not the norm. But if you're mapping something from one layout to another, you need to have kind of a fundamental understanding of where the sequence came from and what layout it's on. If somebody just shared an XML without an XML sequence without the RGB effects file, you're kind of stuck because you don't know where and to what end the sequencing is in that specific house and how they're attached to the groups that they're attached to, or if they're using groups, or if they're just using models, or if they're even using submodels, So for the most part, I think that the package sequence has come a long way, and that's helped a lot of people. But if you're getting something off of the share drive, the thing to remember, and Brian has seen some of the sequences I've done a number of times, and he knows, looking at my programming, I don't work at the all house level very much. I don't work at the all display level. I don't work at whole house sequences. I really go in and I take the time to sequence groups the whole way through. Literally from start to finish.
By groups, you mean something like mini trees?
All mini trees, or all stars, or all snowflakes, or arches, candy canes, arches, and it's a whole way through things. Sometimes I leave a little blank in there, so it's a little dark sometimes. So they're not always all on all the time, but there are times that it does call for it to be on. Usually not in the residential world, but in the commercial world. So I'm not only building sequences for the community and working on that kind of thing. I'm trying to develop a sequence that I can also use where other clients might find them useful in their uses that are commercial end. So, what are you playing with RGB lights there, Brian? Your face went from red to blue, and I thought you turned to a Smurf.
No, that's my TV. I'm watching my my Royals.
I was about to call the ambulance for you.
No, I'm sitting here because I want to put the other sequencers out there, and I know somebody else has gotten with me. But with all the meds and stuff on, I think I saw it and I lost it. because they did get with me and tell me what they were working on, but now I can't. It's not an email and not in my chat box. So if you're listening and you did get with me, I do apologize, but I do want to throw out the other sequencers. I know I got you on here, Clyde. Do you mind if
No, by all means. I mean, we work. I work with a lot of sequencers in the. So
yeah,
I'm by no means am I. I will never claim to be the best. I just enjoy doing it, and if people appreciate that I do it, then by all means enjoy it. You know.
Oh yeah, and